30 a.m. everybody. Welcome to the first speaker of Game Dunk.
Whoop whoop, honk honk. Yay!
Game Dunk would like to welcome Helen Graham, who is an absolutely gorgeous artist, one of the pillars of the ARC community. Has done so much for all of us over the years. Does a lot of character design for hire. In fact, I believe there is a link at the bottom of the window that
Yeah.
will be showing on screen that you can follow. Should you like to talk to Helen about any of these things that have been drawn and potentially your own characters and potentially other things? Anyway, Helen is lovely. I could sing Helen's praises all day, but let's get into it. So we are going to be designing a character live. Helen is going to be tormenting Paddy and I to make all of the decisions.
So for those of you playing along at home, if you are live in the Discord chat or the Twitch, we will do our level best to take any suggestions you have on board.
I do have the Twitch chat open in the other window. I will be reading submissions. We have some shouts of cat and several shouts of hello and Helen. So
look, it's like enough of you have been trying to dress me as a cat boy already. So well, I don't know. I'm not going to veto it, but we'll see where this goes.
Just confuse George.
Yeah, he'll have no idea what's going on. Anyway, hi Helen, thank you for indulging us.
Hello.
Just before we get started, actually, because you're and we've got your socials in the show notes, but I was just wondering actually, like, where does your handle Juimon come from?
Wildly, it's because I used to be called Juice by my sister as a weird nickname, and then I was also really into Digimon, so it just merged together as Juicemon, and then Juimon, and then Juimon, and it's all chaotic and crazy, and it's just kind of like the birthplace of terrible online handles that have just stuck.
It's amazing the little bits and pieces that sort of trickle down into our personas, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're getting
I love Digimon. I love smooshing things together.
Yeah.
We're getting the Helen Deep Lore drop today.
I feel like there is going to be a certain amount of smushing as part of this practice as well. But yeah, look, as Lee sort of mentioned, you're I guess you are the big dog. So much of what Arc and so much of what Arc and Game Dunk is really are coming out of your hands and creativity. So yeah, look, I guess, can you, like, as a little intro for the people who've just stepped in, what's the plan? Who are you and what are we gonna do to this beautiful digital canvas?
That's what we're gonna discover together today. We're gonna discover who we are. No, what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of like make a character just off the bat, just chaotically. So I'm gonna ask you two, Lee and Paddy, my good friends, to start off with like figuring out. In fact, I think Lee, you've got like a card deck there. If you guys want to think of a character, think of their purpose. What do they do? Spin it off the dome. This is real improv style, kids. Let's go.
I am not the one with the card thing. I'm looking at a random assortment of objects on my desk.
Look, the king. Yeah, all right, go on, Lee. Random object this, would you?
All right, I've got a big chunk of what's it called? It's a jasper, the one with all of the stone streaks in it. So I reckon we've got a character that's large and made out of rock, very sort of square and solid, but rounded square, not like sharp square.
Yeah, soft square. Okay, cool, great. Love the shapes. Shapes are always really good to invoke when you're like even commissioning someone or just like coming up with like character designs. Like figuring out shapes is kind of good. Because then you get this sort of sense of like, cool, if I can imagine them, break them down into a shape. Like, I guess like my favorite sort of character design sort of things out there are like things like Pull of Coraline and stuff like that, where everything's really exaggerated, but everyone kind of comes down to like key shape sort of areas. Ooh.
Oh, actually, as you're drawing that, I am suddenly being reminded of the Warforged character I played once, who was a Warforged bard and was the army marching drill, like drum beat.
Oh my god!
Did all of the marching chants and things and used those to give morale boosts to the thing. Really great, but yeah, I'm imagining that, but made out of stone instead of metal.
Oh wow!
I like the description you've given the Jasper in this case, Lee. I love like the image of a stone that's sort of been what's the word? Infiltrated is the wrong word, but you get in geology how like different minerals will kind of like flow through each other over eons,
Yeah, it's got
and
the strata in it.
yeah,
Strata, that's it.
almost taking that as like a character element, like this sort of like this sort of element that sort of bleeds between itself.
All right, so thinking of the strata, thinking of like these things changing over, all this sort of juicy goodness. Hattie, do you want to give our character a purpose? Because that's going to also inform how our character ends up looking. So
Yeah,
what
all
do they
right.
do?
Okay. Hmm.
Are they a
The
part of the play? Are they an NPC? Are they a character that like shows you around? Are they a baker? Like, what do you think?
I was going to say the cards are spoken because Patty's brain is early morning brain for now, and it's like that's going to have ups and downs. The Queen of Cups is suggesting that maybe there's some kind of like counselor or confessor,
Oh, that's good.
maybe
Yeah.
like an like the emotional support community member.
Oh, that's
Is
gorgeous.
our stone person a psychologist?
Might be a psychologist at this point.
Yeah,
I'm into
I
this.
Like,
I'm
don't.
into this.
are they the emotionals? They're the rock. They're the rock.
Yeah, they're the rock of the group.
They're the rock of whatever group they find themselves
Mm.
in.
Okay, it's destiny. We have to go with this now.
Like, like
It's
a kindly
happening.
giant.
And
And
for
I'm
the
not
sake of
gonna
it, as I said, go on. Yep.
I'm not gonna assign gender to these guys because I really
Yeah.
think no one's mentioned gender. They are a they them be. They're sweet non-binary, sweet baby. But if you guys want
Love
to
to hear
assign
it.
a gender, let me know. I'm just gonna
I was
I
just
don't
going to say
assign
my.
genders. I only assign the most creative pronouns possible.
True. You can give me a creative pronoun if you want.
Yeah. Break out the flowchart, Lee.
Break out the murder
Uh,
board of pronouns.
Yep.
For the sake of it, like this is like quite weirdly appropriate actually. My Queen of Cups, like her dress and staff appear to be made of like a living coral, and she's in a sort of surreal undersea scape. So,
Yeah.
that is, that's a something if you want to sort of take that and run with it. As I said, I've always been intrigued when you have a creature of living stone. Is like how do they clothe themselves? Because I
Do
think the
they close
default is just
themselves even, right? Like,
that's a good question, yeah. And what I guess shibboleths in a clothing sense does a counselor have to say, no, I'm the one who looks after people's minds.
right?
Um,
What signifies that in the clothing? Like when you think of
yeah.
counselors, you're seeing a lot of, like car keys. Is that what they're called? Like there's just those really boring
Yeah.
pants.
Oh yeah.
A
It's
sense
like
of
it's
for us it's a
generic.
sense of professionalism, but softer, like
Yeah,
more
gentle
casual.
professionalism.
Mm.
I'm the way that you've got the lines drawn there as well, and this is a rock person. I don't think there's really much in the way of clothes that suits them too much, but I reckon maybe that they have some form of like wrap. Just
I
to,
was starting to see a toga off this pose.
yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Like a
I'm
robe
getting
of
sort
some
of
kind.
yeah, somewhere in the Togasari space.
Oh,
Mm.
And I'm seeing, instead of like clothing being significant to this person, I'm seeing maybe ornamentation being significant. So like
yes.
a lot of things to soften the edges, so that the wrap sort of softens off some of those, even though they're rounded edges. They the rounded stone person. It's a softening thing. They've got cloth draped over them in order to sort of conceal some of that hardness. I reckon that sort of plays into their role.
So a lot of drapery, even. Oh my gosh! Don't even get me started when drapery is involved.
Sorry, I'm making you draw a lot
We
of
made your
cloth
life
folds. I
difficult.
know.
Clothing is something that I think about a lot with like characters because you've got to think about what have they got access to. I get really deep in world building when it comes to clothing. So like what fibers are they, again, too deep. What fibers do they wear? What are they actually like? Where do they come from? Do they come from somewhere that's got something that's like good for them to wear, or do they have to wear fur? Are they like that sort of area? Do they come from a cold place with sheep? Is there wool? These are all great things to think about yourself when you're doing your own character design. Especially when you're describing, say you're going to a table like a TTRPG table and you've come like with a character and you're just saying, okay, so these are what my character is wearing. Maybe like take a moment just to think about why they would be dressed as they are. Even from like a non-artistic design point, that can really inform like a character's value and a character's like, if they're wearing the finest linens and things like that, well, they're clearly rich. Like,
Mm. I remember like listening to I think it was an early playthrough of Bluebeard's Bride, and just like the attention that that game lavishes on the bride's like outfit. And I remember one of the players saying, "I don't think I'd ever had to think about my character's shoes before."
right?
And it's like, and just thinking about what that tells you about a person, and like what they're intending to do. It's like,
It informs so much. And like, because you picked out your shoes for a reason, and it really just adds
exactly.
to like the sort of the depth that you're giving to a character is if you can be like, this is why I'm wearing these things. Like, if I'm thinking as this character as like a person in the world, why are they wearing these things?
We've got support from the chat from Hitokiri Chibi. Love going into depth, like what characters have access to that will inform what they'll wear. So yes, we're all on board with this idea. I love it.
Yeah, it's just so important. Like you've got to figure it out. It's like one of those things that I get really like deep into, with my own works. I'm just like, okay, like you're making
loving the jade.
Yeah. The jasper. Jasper's a green. Is your jasper actually? Is your piece of jasper a green jasper or a red jasper?
I have no idea. It is actually a sort of stormy grey with black streaks through it. But
all right, let's change this up then.
Oh no! Please go with the green. Green and purple is my favorite color combination. Like
honestly, yeah.
Back when
like,
I had,
no, how jokerish of us, but
Hey, back when I had hair, I used to dye it green and purple all the time.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh. All right, I'm gonna keep as few layers as possible, because
I like that. Yeah, we come around to the. Sorry, Helen, go on. Yep.
Oh, once you start getting into the too many layers, you do start over complicating it. But let's see. I want to go with some nice. Seeing as their clothing is to soften out what they are as like a creature. Obviously they are a sweet, lovable giant sort of style creature, but their clothing is something that they are wearing essentially to create a softness about them. Let's give them something lighter. So, let's see, what does orange look like? Ugh.
Ooh,
this is like
that'd be good for some offsets, yeah.
My usual fallback is always like light orange colors, and also the color of a person's clothing. I'm gonna go on a million tangents of like why someone is dressed the way they are, but like the color of someone's clothing could be like very indicative whether they have wealth, whether they have means, whether they have resources. Like,
we have a very good point in the chat from Hitokiri Chibi.
Chibi-chan returns, yeah.
Also, how complicated is the outfit to put on? Like, will they really want to spend 15 minutes tying all their laces and belts, or do they just want to throw on a tunic and cloak and away they go?
Right?
Editorializing from Lee, looking at you, Final Fantasy.
I was gonna say, it's like there's no way you're doing up all those straps on your own.
Right, honestly, like you need to get someone to dress you at that point.
Power of friendship, my friends. That's how you know that they're all like fast friends forever. They have to help each other get dressed every morning.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Like the Mad Max-esque S&M Marauders are clearly have quite strong community values, because they all have to help each other get into their S&M biker suits. So it's like,
oh my god, that's so beautiful. What a beautiful tone you've given this chat.
Oh look, this is just what I am, Helen. You know this. But I was on a similar note. I was thinking, you get some colors that I suppose become associated with different roles in society. Like I guess like white coats or blue scrubs on doctors, or and I like certain certain priests will wear, like particular things. Like, if it's a Catholic priest, it's, gold and purple and white, or if it's a Protestant one, you'll often see a lot of black. But I like that our friend here has like a very like bright, clear sort of saffron robe. Yeah. He says, "Hello, here I am." It's like, color of.
He's here to help. They're here to help.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say that this canvas that you're drawing on has such texture.
Yes.
Oh, it has so good texture.
Why do a speed paint without, like some texture in there?
Yeah.
All right. Oh. Okay, so Jasper. Back to like just the formations of the rock again.
Mm-hmm.
Is it mostly just
Do you want
a
me to
single
see if
piece?
I can post a photo? Yeah, so what
Oh,
I've...
I'm not going to be able to look at a photo. We've got
That's
5 minutes,
fair.
baby.
Yeah, so I've got sort of a single
Right.
piece, square-ish, but it's... So the way that I usually describe it is the way that the streaks and striations look on it is kind of like looking at... it's a stormy sky background with lots of like thin tree branches with
Oh,
some
good.
little bursts of foliage on it. That's kind of what it puts me in mind of when I look at this stone. The background is like grey to sort of a pale grey, and the tree branches stand out very black on the thing. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, just giving them a little bit of a striation. That's the word, right?
I think so. It's
Figured
the
that one
word
out.
we're going to use.
Striation.
Yep. It's like we are none of us geologists.
Yes, honestly, my mom like studied it, so she'll be able to come in and be like, "This is what this means. This is what this means." But I'm not doing that today, Mom.
Well, welcoming Helen's mum to the chats.
Yeah, posting
But
corrections
my
in the
mum.
ARC chat.
Where are you? Where are you, Mother Graham? Come on.
Nah, that's a great little effect already.
I'm thinking about things and characters and
Mhm.
things. But I
Yeah.
really love the idea that you've got going with these paler lines and the way they give the face a little bit of shape. I like the idea that they have like maybe for this person, even though they are sort of the emotional rock of the group, it may be a little bit hard for them to form expressions because they have like lumps and lines in their face, and it's always going to suggest certain tones and certain expressions even when they're not actually intending to make that expression. I like that idea of them having that
distressing and sad thought. I love it.
I bring the angst.
Yeah. You're the local angst peddler of the group, clearly.
You should have seen some of the comments we got when we played Racing the Sunset in the first year. We got some good commentary.
Left to our own devices, we do a great deal of grief. But,
great, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like sort of building on that suggestion a little, like particularly with like a character with that more, like a different biology, I guess. You start getting into, I guess, animals and creatures that live like animals and other life forms that live on like a different pace almost. I imagine like a fairly glacial presentation to this character, just because rocks tend to live a bit slower. They in the way that a python only needs to eat once a month and spends the rest of its life just sort of cruising. I guess the stone people have their own ways of doing things.
Yeah, they've got their own timelines to work towards. All right. Giving their face like a little bit of detail. They haven't so much got an ear, because that's the thing. It's like, how do ears even form on such a creature?
Left to their own, they sort of communicate subsonically. It's like,
I was about to say, I bet
rumbles.
This is a person that listens through vibrations.
Right? Oh my gosh.
I had such fun.
Like Avatar.
Total tangent, but I had such fun creating a character recently who was an aquatic creature. And you can't have human eardrums on an aquatic creature that goes to any sort of depth. Eardrums are too fragile.
Yeah.
So I came up with these membranes that sense vibrations that can stick out the side of the head and flex, so that you get a little bit of directional hearing going on, but it's not the way it's attached. It's not going to the pressures aren't going to cause pressure differentials, because it's all external. And it's vibrations go through the membrane and then through hollow bones, and so you get that very classic fantasy fish ear. The ear looks like a fin kind of thing, but it actually has biological reason behind it, damn you.
That's actually really clever. Like, I'd never really thought about that when, designing my fish folk.
I went way too in depth on that one. If you ever want to hear a rant about like fish person biology, like I sent 7 pages to the GM being like, here is biology.
Don't worry, there are reasons behind these decisions.
Yeah. So, here we have the sort of makings, the start makings of this sweet little guy, sweet little friend. I guess seeing as we're at 10:50 now, shall we adjourn? Is it time for the next speaker?
Yeah, 10:50. So I reckon it is about time to close us out. But we'll get people back into the chat to start talking some design ideas for a bit before we welcome in the next speaker. So for those of you that are in the because we've got the retrospective.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need to be diving into the retro hard on this. But just before we leave, Helen, the Twitch chat has declared you Australia's best fantasy artist.
Yes.
So thank you for the Arcanicum mods. Fighting words they declare, but good luck anyone fighting the entirety of Arc.
Thank you.
Shall we give our friend a name before we proceed on to the other events?
What is their name? I mean, obviously they're made of Jasper.
Yeah.
But we're gonna start getting copyright claims from Rebecca Sugar if we. I reckon. I'm just trying to think. What were some of the names of the rock giants from Neverending Story?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, they were so good.
Oh, everyone talks about the horse scene, but they looked like big, strong hands. Is where the real tears come in. I'm sorry.
What about Strong Hand?
Yes. Yeah.
Strong Hand.
Yeah.
Just emotionally strong hand. Maybe they're not much of a fighter, but they're emotionally strong.
Yeah.
Stella. How do we pronounce that? Stella. I've heard it called. Other suggestion being Dwayne Johnson, which
of course,
I can see the logic.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Bringing Strong Hand / Stella into the world.
Yep. Thank you for that up. We've also got a suggestion of shoulder. Sounds like boulder.
Oh, Boulder. Boulder does sound like Boulder.
Shoulder strong hand maybe is. This is shoulder strong hand. I think this might be our character.
Strong hand. Let's go, Stella.
Thanks for the pronunciation guide, Haley. I've only ever read that one.
That's good, brilliant. Oh.
No. Yeah. Thank you, Helen. And look, absolutely like legendary work. You've pulled this thing out of nothing, and I think like in based on just our strange little suggestions, and I think this has given a lot of our listeners a bit of an idea as to what sort of directions to be pointing an artist if you need them to create something for you.
Yeah. And also some really cool things to think about when you're describing your own character at the table and
Yes, all these like deep, intense, overthinking things. Overthink always.
Always.
Overdo it. Thank you so much.
It always leads somewhere, doesn't it? But thank you again. Amazing stuff. And
good luck with the rest
of you at home.
Yep.
Thank you.